My name's Tyler, and this is just something I heard. Excuse me here a minute. Hyperthymesia is a condition that leads people to be able to remember an abnormally large number of their life experiences in vivid detail. So then, this single, generously donated to the show, you know who you are, entitled Hyperthymesia, as you would expect, deals with that concept, lyrically at least. I don't know how you would deal with it musically, but Adjy is a band that I've not been familiar with for an overly long time, due to the generous donor, a personal friend of mine, making me aware of them around 6-8 months ago. I've listened to everything they've publicly released, but I came back to this single to spend some more time with it in order to sort of break it down and kind of talk about it more in depth. And that's going to be kind of the idea of this whole series, if it ends up being that, however often I decide to do it. Hopefully more often than not. But they're a band that sort of defies being pigeonholed into a certain genre or trend. I mean, they sort of have elements of Midwest emo and some progressive pop kind of tendencies, but they really still stand out, especially their newer tracks that are coming out now that seem to be teasers or singles for a new album. Really are unique in a completely different way from all the stuff they've done before, while still sounding kind of like them. So it's hard to label them down like that, but this song in particular has a pretty normal sort of song structure for the most part. A verse, chorus, verse, sort of bridge, guitar solo sort of thing. But it's in that framework, there's so many little instrumental nuances and just a very, I don't want to say frantic kind of pace, but it's energetic. But also there's, especially with the guitars and the singing, there's a very strong element of like this nostalgic sort of melancholy that the lyrics deal with. So I don't know if it was written lyrically first and then the music written to match, but either way it worked out pretty well, by my estimation, just because I feel like the instrumental structurally and just the way it's composed really backs up sort of the message of the lyrics, at least as I interpret them. And that message is, on one hand, it seems pretty easy to grasp if you just read the lyrics or listen to the song with the lyrics in front of you. This little packaging here comes with a sort of a paper slip, and on the back here there's all the lyrics, written in sort of a block style, which actually adds a lot, just the way it's written, to the understanding of it, because there's certain parts that are sung very quickly, and those are usually written sort of like hyphenated, like in a single like sentence, when there's punctuation in the actual lyrics themselves. And sort of reading them that way also adds to the energy that they're sort of sung with. It sort of imparts, it's almost something that you could read the lyrics and the way they're written imparts the way they're sung, or the way they're sung really is based on how they're written. I would imagine that they're probably written very specifically in order to kind of convey how they need to be sung, which is a writing style I'm fond of personally. When you can sort of draw the song out of the lyrics. And if that's what happened, that makes a lot of sense just because, like I said before, that's how the instrumental feels to me. But so while the message, the sort of the narrative being strung seems to be the narrator reflecting on a past relationship of some kind. It's to me it sort of hints kind of at something romantic, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that. There's nothing explicitly that says that. It's more just a couple quotations, a mention of a her, and the way certain lines are sung conveys a certain degree of like physical intimacy. But the relationship seems to have been, although passionate for the narrator, maybe sort of just a passing fling for this other person, and the lyrics are sort of a lamentation of the fact that although the narrator is stuck with these vivid memories and like this sort of hole in their heart about the feelings that they felt so strongly, then when they go back to that area later on, they still feel all these feelings, very strongly. And the way they describe the other person seems to be that it wasn't important to them really at all, or not in a long-term sense. But it's not really. I said it sort of has a melancholy, sort of a nostalgic view, but at the same time, it's not necessarily a I'm sad about a past breakup kind of song. It also has this element of there's some wallowing. I don't like to use the word wallowing in this context just because it makes it seem more mopey or negative than it actually is. And like I said, the actual way the song is written is very energetic. But it does convey like that sense of the melancholy, but towards the end you also get the sense that like, there's a sort of closing, some of the closing lines sort of indicate let's try again, or maybe we can start over, or just put it behind us, but not have to, not in a sad way. More of like the exact imagery used refers to like iron being melted back from however it's forged into an ore form, starting from scratch again. And it sort of goes into afterwards. That's after that second chorus. It goes into this guitar solo. That's based on the live videos I've seen. It's not like anything, entirely insanely complex or anything, but it's just very soft sounding and conveys the sort of feeling that the song is going for. And I will say that just I've listening to the song a bunch to talk about it now. I also went and watched a bunch of the live videos of Adjy online, and a lot of the times they play the whole EP that this song was on, called Prelude, and generally all those live performances are really good, and they're able to convey, the song definitely makes it in full to the stage, despite sort of the complexity of it. It seems like it could be very studio crafted. That's the trouble with bands of this kind sometimes, when you have a 5 or 6 piece and you have this very sort of not soft, but just this music that relies on several, maybe 5 or 6 of these different parts, and they all have to be, they're very constructed in a certain way to convey this very specific emotion behind the lyrics, and it works really well when I saw it live. Just, the audio quality wasn't great, but just based on what I can see and the performance, it all works really well. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my thoughts. It's a great track, and it's actually not even one of my favorites of theirs. It might be my least favorite or second least favorite on this EP, and I still think it's a pretty strong track. It's a good choice for the single, just because, like I said, it's got a sort of traditional structure, although it still kind of works with this very unique energy and still speaks a lot to the personalities of the band members, and especially the singer and the lyricist, because that's sort of the cornerstone that the entire song is built around. And although it may not be terribly abstract in terms of understanding what the lyrical message or sort of the like I said, the narrative of it is, it's still the way in which it's sung and the actual imagery and stuff is very vivid and well written and interesting. So I'd recommend it. If you haven't checked this band out, go for it. And they have new music coming soon, hopefully. So I'll link their website and their Bandcamp down in the description, and let me know what else you'd want me to talk about. I'm going to try to limit it to stuff I have physically. Not for any particular reason. I mean, I like to wave it in front of the camera or whatever, but also just it's a good way to sort of reel myself in a little bit and kind of limit, what I end up talking about. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks.